State Representative Matt Schaefer has spent the last 8 years representing the Tyler area in Austin. He's looking to win a fifth term, but faces what appears to be his closest race so far. We spoke with his opponent, Julie Gobble, last week, and Representative Schaefer joins us now to talk about his bid for re-election. Good morning, Representative.
It's always good to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, the first question I'll ask you is, what would you look back on from your first 4 terms and say are your biggest accomplishments from working at the Capitol?
I'm very proud of the work I've done on improving vocational training in our public schools. I was able to pass a law that made it easier for our public schools to hire experts to come in and teach vocational classes like auto shop and nursing and computer science. College is not the only way for people to succeed. Certainly, it's the best option for many students, but turning a wrench might turn a life around. Really, we need to be restoring vocational training in our public schools so that students have more options to just learn a valuable skill, or options to go make really good wages, really earn a good living with skills they can learn in vocational training. Last session, I was able to add a provision to the school finance bill that brought in some money for Rose City summer camp so that Tyler Independent School District could bring teachers over to do math and reading instruction during camp. And I was also able to pass a bill that allowed Breckenridge Village of Tyler, which serves adults with intellectual disabilities, to give homes to more people. So I had to cut some red tape with that bill so they could open up another home to serve more people with special needs.
Well, this coming up session, shoring up the budget, looks like it'll be the main issue. So where do you think the money should come from to help balance the budget?
We're going to focus on our priorities. When you have a tight budget, that means you really have to look at what is most important. Public education will be at the top of the list. Supporting our infrastructure, public safety, our highway troopers, our courts, our prison systems, our parks, things that are a high priority. We do have a rainy day fund that will have some money in it. It will not cover the whole shortfall. So we're really going to have to tighten our belt and be wise with our money.
And there's a possibility that there could be a split legislature because Democrats have a realistic chance to flip enough seats and take control of the House. If you think that happens, do you think working together would be an additional challenge to getting things done?
Well, the truth is that Democrats and Republicans in Austin work together all the time on things. They just don't make the headlines. We passed a bipartisan public school finance bill last session that put a historic amount of money into public education, and Republicans and Democrats worked hand in hand on that. So we'll find a way to get things done. But I do believe Republicans are going to stay in control of the Texas House of Representatives.
And you have your first Democratic challenger, Julie Gobble, since you first ran for office. How are you viewing this race?
This race is about economic freedom, about keeping low taxes and light regulations so that small businesses can grow and prosper and families can grow and prosper, rather than wrapping the economy in red tape. Choking back our oil and gas industry, which creates so many jobs and puts so much money into our public schools. I don't know if people realize how important the oil and gas industry is to the state of Texas. And that energy sector really drives a lot of our economy. It's about supporting the Second Amendment. It's about supporting our police officers out on the street who love justice for all Texans. It's also about standing up for life. That's a very important issue here in East Texas. And so I think there's a clear contrast in this race between keeping Texas headed in the right direction versus going to the left and really putting a wet blanket of regulation over the economy.
Do you feel like you've had to change the way you're campaigning this cycle, given that you now have a Democratic opponent as opposed to an independent or even running unopposed like in years past?
Well, usually I have to, get in a primary battle where I'm campaigning against another Republican. That's the way it's been here in Smith County for some years. And so I really enjoy the opportunity to tell people what Republicans stand for and contrast that with what the Democrats stand for, because I think there is a clear difference. And I think most people in Smith County want to support Republicans because it's been working well for people here in East Texas. And the Republican platform really represents what most East Texans believe.
Well, aside from the budget, are there any other big issues you think could dominate the legislature come January?
Redistricting. As you know, the census is being completed this year. When that report comes to the legislature next year, the Constitution requires us to redraw the lines for my position, for Louis Gohmert's position, for Senator Brian Hughes' position. So all of the political maps in Texas will be redrawn. And obviously, there's laws that have to be followed through that process, but there is an aspect of it where you need some seniority and some experience representing Smith County and East Texas to make sure that our representation stays in place and we don't get pulled into, East Dallas or a community that we don't really have a connection with. And so we want the East Texas offices to stay East Texas offices and not just become part of, the Metroplex.
What's your final message for those voters who are waiting until Tuesday to cast their ballots?
I really believe in the government being smaller and families being stronger, Texans being stronger. And that means keeping taxes low, regulation light, strengthening our public schools, and just making sure that the opportunities out there for people to go take. And really, I want government to be, brilliant on the basics, and then get out of the way and let Texans decide, and let Texans have plenty of room to live their lives and to raise their families and make money for, all the things that are important to them.
Representative Schaefer, thanks for being with us today.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.